Throughout my trading career, I have tried hundreds, if not thousands, of different brokers, and the short story is it often changes which ones are actually the best. So today we're going to be comparing two of the best ones out there to decide which one is the optimal place to trade based on things like leverage, spread, speed, and of course my personal experience as a trader. None of this is financial advice, but let's dive into the video. So today we're going to be comparing Invidia Trade with Eightcap because these two have caught my eye recently. I have been using them both for a couple months now, and on the surface, they do look pretty even, but if you actually dive behind the scenes and actually use the platforms, I'm here to tell you that basically there is a very clear winner. First, let's talk about the trading platforms available to us from both of these brokers. So starting with Eightcap here, if we do go to the tools section, we can see they have TradingView, MetaTrader 5, MetaTrader 4, and some online web traders as well. Guys, if you want to rank higher on Google, you should definitely be using PrimeLink because you get backlinks, you get QR codes, you get analytics, and much more. So definitely check out PrimeLink in the description. Let's get back to the video. But if we go to Invidia Trade here, we can see, yes, we do have TradingView Plus DX, which is fantastic. They've got MetaTrader Cloud 4 and 5, and they have Cloud Vision X and Cloud Trader View. So both of these pretty equal when it comes to providing tools. You can both access this on MetaTrader and TradingView, but I would just say Invidia Trade has a couple extra features here to inch a little bit ahead. Now let's get into the accounts, leverages, and my personal experience here using these two brokers. So first off, we have Invidia Trade here, and these guys are saying that yes, they do have leverages up to 500x, which is fantastic. And if we go to Eightcap here, they don't actually state their leverage on their account page, which could be a little bit sus, but I will just say that from my experience, they do also have that 500x leverage. So both equal on the leverage front. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we do have Invidia Trade saying that their standard account is actually have typical spreads from 0.8 pips, which I think is fairly true. But if we do go over to Eightcap here, we can see that these guys do have spreads from 0 pips. Now, on the surface, this looks like a clear-cut win for Eightcap. But after actually using both platforms, this is where speed and slippage come into it. Because even though the spreads are higher on Invidia Trade, and not much higher, I will say, Invidia Trade are actually putting an average out here, whereas Eightcap are basically saying some of their lowest spreads are 0.0 pips, but from my experience using both of these, the lowest spreads on average, I actually think does go to Invidia Trade. And this is on assets like gold, forex, indices, and even crypto. So this is why videos like this are super important, because I've actually used both platforms, and I mean, this is technically false advertising, but I mean, these are brokers, they can get away with it. And yeah, the short story is that yes, Invidia Trade actually, on average, from my experience, does give lower spreads in terms of pips. Now, let's go over to the slippage side. If you don't know what slippage is, basically when market opens and market's about to close, we can get what's called congested time periods in trading. So if you don't have the infrastructure as a broker to keep up with that higher demand and more orders coming through, then your users putting in trades will actually have something that's called slippage, which basically means I put in a trade at this price, and then yes, slippage occurs because it takes time for my order to go through, and I actually get in a worse entry price than I wanted. Now, using both of these platforms in congested time periods like market open, after lunch, and of course towards the end of the day, I will just say that Invidia Trade has not let me down yet. I found on Eightcap that I did have a bit of problems when it comes to congested hours, and I found that the slippage went up massively. So even though the spreads can be lower in some cases here, on average, I would say that yes, Invidia Trade do have lower spreads across the board, and in those congested time periods, because they've got that newer modern technology, this is actually something that is opening the door to less friction for the user, less slippage, and better entries and exits when it comes to trade execution. So overall, when comparing these two brokers, guys, I'm definitely going to give it to Invidia Trade. Of course, they are very close when it comes to the tools. They have exactly the same leverages at 500x, but when it comes to slippage, congested time periods, and generally lower spreads, I will definitely give it to Invidia Trade overall. Definitely consider checking out Invidia Trade in the description. But that is going to be it from me. Have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next one.